Hey friends, today we're going to talk about masking and the cat Q. If you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Mike. I'm a late diagnosed autistic adult who makes videos about life on the autism spectrum. So if that's you, or you think it might be, please feel free to subscribe and stim the notification bell to stay in touch. This video comes highly requested by our Discord community members. First, a little primer on masking. Masking is our way of navigating social situations that might otherwise feel overwhelming or inaccessible to us. It's about survival in a world that doesn't always recognise neurodiversity. But it's not as simple as just putting on a superhero suit and heading out to that party. Research indicates that while camouflaging can facilitate social interactions for autistic people, it often exacts a high psychological toll. Long-term masking is utterly exhausting. It can lead to burnout and might cause us to lose touch with our authentic selves. Interestingly, studies suggest that autistic women and girls camouflage more frequently, potentially due to differing societal expectations. This disparity could explain why the diagnosis rate between males and non-males is currently about 4 to 1. Let's talk about the CAT-Q, or the Camouflaging Autistic Traits Questionnaire. This tool was developed to measure how much we camouflage our autistic traits during social interactions. It's often utilised early in formal autism assessments, and some, like myself, use it as part of our own self-identification process. Created in 2019 by Laura Hull, Simon Baron-Cohen and others, the CAT-Q measures 3 masking factors: compensation, masking, and assimilation. It's robust, well-validated, and aligns well with other psychometric tools. I've included links to the original validation study and a free web version provided by Embrace Autism in the description below. If you've never tried the CAT-Q, let's go through it together now and discuss our results in the comments. Question 1. When I'm interacting with someone, I deliberately copy their body language or facial expressions. Absolutely agree, or strongly agree, but I don't copy people's facial expressions. You know, someone frowns and I'll be like, maybe I should frown. But absolutely, I copy their posture. If their arms are folded, my arms be folded. If their arms open, my arms be open. I'll lean in when they're leaning in or whatever. Sometimes I'll even try and preempt them, and maybe if I want to be a bit more comfortable and like maybe lean in on a conversation, I'll start leaning in, hope they copy me, and then, oh my goodness, now I'm a bit more relaxed. My back hurts holding these postures because I'm doing it purely to mimic the way other people are. It's something I've done my whole life. I'll clearly continue to do it. I've always been aware. It's not like, oh, now I'm aware of it and I wasn't before. It's like now I try to do it less. I also give less of a shit about what people think about me now, like over 40 and so on. But like I try to not do it so much. But this is also a technique that even neurotypicals use to build rapport with each other. They will mimic. Maybe subconsciously, maybe it's not always like, okay, they're doing that now I need to do the same. But they do it. So this is not completely unusual. I'm not pathologizing myself doing this. I just want to point that out. I monitor my body language or facial expressions so that I appear relaxed. Yeah. Again, I'm constantly thinking, am I in the right position? So for example, if I'm looking a bit unrelaxed, it'll be because I'm trying to mimic how the other person looks. There's a bit of a latency. There's an uncanny valley. There's a bit of lag there. And it sort of depends really on the social situation. But we're talking about people here who I'm not necessarily friends with. Maybe I'm in a work meeting, something like that, or maybe like a gathering before or afterwards. How am I going to act? I'm going right. Am I looking relaxed? Okay, my face, Mike. You want to kind of like, I kind of have like resting autistic face. I don't know. It's a joke, by the way. I'm going to say agree rather than strongly agree. But I would say I'm pretty strongly agree on these, but I feel like strongly agree is a bit too strong right now. I rarely feel the need to put on an act in order to get through a social situation. Absolutely, it's completely an act. I'm not saying I'm fake, but I've got to work this out here. That I'm doing an act, and unfortunately, it gives people the wrong impression of me. Sometimes people think I'm slow or I'm a bit sort of late to understand things, or the jokes go over my head, and I assure you that they don't, admittedly, as much as people think they do. It's just that I'm kind of like having to process. My brain is overheating. I swear, it's like I'm literally overheating, and I'm trying to like, okay, I need water cooling now. That's why I like diving so much, on hydration. I've developed a script to follow in social situations, absolutely. I've got multiple scripts for different situations. When things go off script, I even have a couple of scripts for how to kind of like ad hoc it, seat in my pants kind of thing. But yeah, 100% developed a script. In fact, my scripts are very literal in that when I was a teenager, I actually started writing down scripts or right, shit, what happens when that person does that? I need to do this. Otherwise, all right, okay, so they do that, I do this. And there's still holes in my script, even to this day. But, you know, I do my best. I will repeat phrases that I've heard others say in the exact same way that I first heard them. Yes, although I feel like strongly agree is echolalia. I think, you know, sort of like repeating the sounds of phrases or things that you've heard, you know, maybe constantly repeating phrases from movies or songs, perhaps. So I'm going to knock myself down a little bit there. But I'll repeat phrases that others heard, that I've heard other people say in the exact same way. Yeah, I used to do that. Or maybe I'm going to drop myself down one more. I mean, I do it a lot less these days, but I certainly have been known to do that. 6. I adjust my body language or facial expressions so that I appear interested by the person I'm interacting with. Yes. Facial expressions, no. Body language, yes. I mean, I'll go agree again because I don't really do my face thing to do that. I'm interested, or maybe I do. I don't know. It's hard to say. But I do have the self-awareness to say that I'm moving my body in the way such that it matches the expectation. And then I think, do you like me now? Am I doing it right? Am I doing the thing? That's how it feels. Question 7. In social situations, I feel like I'm performing rather than being myself. Yeah, 100%. So, like, for example, family get-togethers, Christmas time, stuff like this, it's kind of the worst for me because I kind of feel like, you know, people aren't actually really that interested in me or what I'm doing. I also think I don't want you to be that interested in what I'm doing and then I'd have to make small talk about it. That would be really, really difficult. But very much, it's a performance art. And I'm sure everybody feels this way to one degree or another. But I'd say, if we're going to kind of apportion, like, if you're looking at your brain as like a task manager for Windows, guys, or activity monitor for Mac OS, I would say 90% of 90% of what I'm thinking is entirely going down to my performance. I feel like in social situations, I'm basically doing open mic night, literally open mic, because I'm like, okay, right. So I'd say 90%. So rather than using like all my brain to think about what I'm saying or think about what the other people are saying, I haven't got much time for that. I've just got, so then I say weird things or my words come out wrong or garbled or back to front or I sound like an idiot. Question 8. In my own social interactions, I use behaviours that I've learned from watching other people interacting. Sometimes people will say to me, you've been watching this show or that show, because I'm kind of like copying behaviours from characters that I see on TV. So that's definitely a strongly agree. Question 9. I always think about the impression I make on other people. This is kind of interesting because afterwards, like I come away from, you know, an engagement and I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah. I'm constantly replaying conversations in my head. Sometimes I think I've done all right. And like, okay, brain, you can kind of quieten down now. I've got other things to do with my life. But no, my brain wants to replay them and think about how I could have done them better constantly. I don't always think about the impression I make on other people. Like most of the time, in terms of amount of time I spend during my day, I'm not thinking about the impression I make on other people. I mean, when I make a YouTube video, I'm thinking about it, but only with respect to kind of YouTube and things. But so I'm going to say somewhat agree. I might be over-engineering the question there a little bit. I need the support of other people in order to socialise. This was definitely the case, you know, growing up and being a young adult. That is definitely the case, because otherwise I would not either do it or I would be really awkward. I don't think that's the case anymore. I'm going to say disagree. I think I can do the thing now. I've had enough training. Question 11. I practice my facial expressions and body language to make sure that they look natural. That's what that word says. I mean, I did. Do I anymore? Not really. I'd say, you know, in the past, strongly agree. I've been in front of mirrors practicing. Later in life, I've been filming myself and watching it back and feeling the cringe and doing it again and so on. So I'd say that would go down to agree. Right now, I don't practice any body language at all. So I'm going to put neither agree nor disagree. In the past, strongly agree. Right now, strongly disagree. I'm going to put neither agree nor disagree. I don't feel the need to make eye contact with other people if I don't want to. I'm going to say it's very much strongly disagree. I think, I live in a Western country. Over here, if you avoid eye contact, you're seen as shifty or untrustworthy. I've been self-employed. I've run limited company businesses for 20 years. You have to touch people, shake their hands. You have to be amiable. You have to build rapport with people. You have to look them in the eye. You kind of have to look people in the eye as part of that performance. It's kind of a required thing, which comes easily to neurotypicals, less so to neurodivergents like autistic people or to autists. I'm going to say strongly disagree on that one because you kind of have to. But then if I were in a different country, I don't know, say Japan or something, I probably wouldn't. Context-based and it's situational. Question 13. I have to force myself to interact with people when I'm in social situations. Yep. Oh, I'm going to say agree, right? Because, yeah, 100%. It's completely forced. It's a forced performance. But the interesting dynamic here is that it depends who it is and it depends on the context. Say, for example, I'm on a dive boat with my diving buddies and we're all having a chat about stuff that we've seen in the sea and things. And no, I don't have to force myself to interact with people in that situation. Of course I don't. But then again, if it's like, let's just say like a big family Christmas dinner or something like that, then yeah. Why do I have to force myself to interact with people? Because they're not interested in talking about astronomy or the aurora borealis that we've recently had, or they're not interested in talking about like fish keeping or pet husbandry stuff or tech stuff or software development or anything like that, right? So the majority of people like that. But then not everyone is so shallow. So, no, I don't have to force myself to interact with everyone. Let's go down to somewhat agree. It sort of depends right now, because right now I don't hang around with people. Like, say, for example, like in school, you're kind of forced into a cohort with people. And the only thing you've got in common with them really is that you were born in the same year, within a year of each other. That's a really tenuous grasp, like tenuous link to have relationships with people, friendships with people. Whereas now I can form friendships based on things that we're interested in. And we've got a great community on the Scratching Post, which is my Patreon community. And everyone there is amazing. And no, I don't have to force myself to interact with people who are like me. But do you know where I'm going with this? Question 14. I have tried to improve my understanding of social skills by watching other people. Yeah. People watching is something that I used to do during break times when I was at college, university, afterwards in my first job. I'd go sit on a park bench and watch people, watch their interactions and just see how they are. It's actually quite an interesting thing to do, irrespective of you doing it to learn social skills. It's just interesting. When I worked in Tesco's, I was invisible. People have like marital disputes in the aisles in Tesco's. They don't even realise you're there. They don't see you. They look through you. And you can learn quite a lot from people just by working like a retail job. Question 15. I monitor my body language or facial expressions so that I appear interested by the person I'm interacting with. I think this is a check question, as in we've kind of already done this one, and I'm going to stick agree on there. Question 16. When in social situations, I try to find ways to avoid interacting with others. Not really. I mean, it depends, contextually. I'm trying to take myself out of my sort of current social situations, which in a typical social situation for me, I'm involved with people in, say, marine conservation. I'm fully interacting with them. We're having a great time. I can't imagine, say, for example, Chris Packham, who is famously autistic, going to some wildlife event and then just not interacting with people because of his autism. We're going to, because no, the context matters. I'm going to say neither agree nor disagree because context really does matter on that one. Question 17. I've researched the rules of social interactions to improve my own social skills. Strongly agree. There's a YouTube channel called Charisma on Command. Watch it. It's fantastic. Question 18. I'm always aware of the impression I make on other people. Well, we can't say always, can we, in any situation? But no, am I aware of the impression I make on other people? I think I'm generally aware of how I come across. Question 19. I feel free to be myself when I'm with other people. I think in the past we'd have gone strongly disagree, but I think nowadays I'm going to say somewhat disagree. Somewhat. Things have improved with age and YouTube. 20. I learn how people use their bodies and faces to interact by watching television or films or by reading fiction. Yep. As per above. Question 21. I adjust my body language or facial expressions so that I appear relaxed. Yep. Really, all the time. try and do a thing, I mean, you know, a lot of this is kind of like you're training yourself, but it's true. Question 22. When talking to other people, I feel like the conversation flows naturally. Well, it sort of depends, again, on the context. If I'm at a renewable energy event, or I'm talking to other YouTubers, or I'm talking to people that, you know, with the marine conservation stuff that I do, all of those things, conversation flows perfectly naturally. Everything's absolutely fantastic. Otherwise, if we're talking about people that I might meet on the street or in town, or just like extended family, that sort of stuff, then some disagree. So kind of somewhere in the middle, but it all depends on context. I try to generally avoid situations that are uncomfortable and spend time in situations that are more comfortable. We are all pain avoidance machines at the end of the day. I'm going to say somewhat disagree on that basis, but it sort of depends. I almost need 2 scores, one for the stuff where I'm comfortable and one for the stuff where I'm not comfortable. And then we have like 2 cat cues. That might work better. Question 24. In social interactions, I do not pay attention to what my face or body are doing. No, of course not. Question 25. The last question. In social situations, I feel like I'm pretending to be normal. Again, context dependent. Like if you're around other neurodivergents, you can feel free to unmask a little bit. But generally speaking, and again, we're using this sort of like hypothetical social situation, then strongly agree. Okay, cool. Let's click it. So let's talk about the totals then. What do the numbers mean? Well, a total score of 100 or above indicates that you camouflage autistic traits. Got 149 here, which actually, coincidentally, is exactly the same number as I got well over a year ago when I first did the cat Q. Really interesting. I definitely think I answered differently, but that's exactly on the dot. The compensation total previously was 60. This is now 57. Masking subtotal was 43, now 50, and assimilation was 46, now 42. The average scores are really interesting to look at because they're given in terms of gender. We've got female, male, and non-binary, each with their own unique average scores. We can interpret some interesting things from this data. Look at the average score for females, neurotypicals versus autistics. There's a huge jump. Whilst it's interesting to see that neurotypical males with 96.89 is actually very close to that like relevant boundary at 100, that female autistics, non-binary autistics are the most high masking in the study validation sample. The CAT-Q does not speak to the effects of masking or hiding our autistic traits. It's purely a reference and a good indicator of whether or not someone is hiding autistic traits. Sometimes we need to mask and assimilate to blend in with other people, and I'll explain why in this next video. Thank you to my patrons, because you make this channel possible. If you would like to join the Autistic Cats Club, there's just 2 weeks left to qualify for one of these 2 pretty badges, and I'll see you in the scratching post.